Hello Year 3 and welcome to Lesson 3 of the reading this week. Robin Hood has just won the contest, hasn't he? So what's going to happen next? It's the day of the contest and our learning objective is to explore the author's use of language during the climax, which is the real action bit of the story. So write down the learning objective and the dates, underline with a pencil and ruler, and then we can move on to the Robin Hood recap. And we'll have a look at that in 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3 questions then. So who won the contest and how did the other archers react? Who were the archers left in the final 4? What were their names? And finally, what does gazed mean? Right, pause the video, have a go at those questions, and then we'll be ready to have a look at the vocab after that. Okay, let's check my answers with yours. Let's remember what happened. So the contest was won by Robin Hood, who was disguised as a Saxon beggar. The other archers were surprised to have lost, but Dickon of Trent was happy for him. Apart from Robin Hood, the other archers were Dickon of Trent, William Tyrrell and Hugo. Remember that William Tyrrell is employed by Gisborne and Hugo by the sheriff. And gazed means to look in surprise for longer than normal. Okay, let's have a look at today's vocabulary. Got a few today. The first one is fanfare, and fanfare is boop, 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 boop. That's a short tune on trumpets for something important. Number 2, regent, the person in charge of a country because the king is not there. So in this case, King Richard isn't there. So Prince John is the regent because he's been left in charge of the country. Number 3, blared. If something blares, it makes a loud sound. Number 4, cavalry. Cavalry is soldiers, but on horses. Number 5, hoist. If you hoist something, you lift it up. Galloping. So galloping is how horses run. They gallop. Then pursuers. Though pursuers are people who are running after you. So when Robin Hood tries to run away from the castle, soldiers would be pursuers because they would be pursuing him. And finally, retreated. And if you retreat, then you run away from a fight or run away from something. Okay, those are our words for today that we'd need for the reading. Let's have a look at what we're going to do for them. And of course, we're going to try and write some sentences with those words. And I know that you can do fantastic because there are some really exciting words with our reading today. So pause the video here and see if you can use at least 3 of them in sentences. Okay, we'll give them a check. And we'll have a look at my example in 3, 2, 1. The fanfare blared as Robin won the silver arrow, but soon he retreated because soldiers were galloping his way. Oh, maybe I could have put because the cavalry was galloping his way. Then I could have got another one in. You see, there's always a way to improve things, even if you've got a good sentence already. So I wonder what you've got. I can't wait to read them. Let's have a look at today's part of the new part of the story. Let's see what happens next. So there we are. Robin has just won and the other archers are looking in surprise at who this Saxon stranger is who has such good skills in archery. You must be presented with your prize. And taking Robin's arm, he led him to the space in front of the sheriff. Here the outlaw leader stood in the open and alone. A fanfare of trumpets sounded, and the sheriff rose to his feet. Then, as well as the silver arrow, he held in his hand a parchment, which he unrolled. In the name of His Royal Highness, Prince John, Regent of all England, I arrest thee, Robin Hood, outlaw, for... The rest of the words were lost in the shouting. A trumpet blared. And the sheriff's soldiers tried to join Gisborne's men, but the crowd pressed so hard upon them that they were unable to do so. Pushing Hugo away, Robin Hood threw off his brown cloak and stood there proudly in Lincoln green. His horn rang out above the noise, and the outlaws, also in green now, ran towards the sound. Little John, Friar Tuck, Scarlet, and Much were at Robin's side. "Swords, lads," shouted Robin, and they cut through a gap in the crowd. "Make for Sherwood," he called, and the outlaws retreated, turning now and again to send a flight of arrows at their pursuers. Suddenly, Little John fell with a groan, a Norman arrow in his leg. "Leave me," he gasped. "Leave me here, for the horsemen are coming. Look!" Robin saw Gisborne's cavalry coming across the field, but he stooped to hoist Little John onto his back. A hand held him back. "I'll get the big fellow to the trees, while you keep off the horsemen," said Dickon of Trent. "You are outside the law with us," Robin warned quickly. "So be it," said Dickon. Robin formed his men into a solid rank as Dickon stumbled off with Little John. Then, at his command, a flight of arrows hummed into the galloping. Ooh, let's see. What's going to happen? Are they going to escape properly? We've still got one more day to go. But look, here they are, running away through the crowds, and the sheriff is stuck up there on the platform. Look at those bowmen aiming at them and the arrows flying past. It's no wonder Little John got hurt. Okay, here are our questions. Number 1. Why did the sheriff in Gisborne find it difficult to catch Robin at the end? Number 2. Did anyone get hurt? Number 3. What does the author show us about Dickon of Trent's character? What does he do to show us that? And finally, one of our defined questions, what is a fanfare? Okay, so we have a summarise, retrieve, explore and a defined reading gem there. Lots of different questions. So pause the video now, have a go at those, and then once you're ready, we'll check through our answers together. Okay, we'll check through in 3, 2, 1. So it was very busy and the crowd pressed into the sheriff and Gisborne's soldiers in shock at the situation. Robin and his men cut through a gap in the crowd and ran towards Sherwood Forest. They turned now and then to fire arrows into their pursuers, who were Gisborne's cavalry. Obviously, Little John was shot in the leg with a Norman arrow, so he got hurt. And the author showed us that Dickon of Trent is now an outlaw and loyal to Robin Hood because he helped rescue Little John and Robin escape. And a fanfare is, of course, a short tune played on trumpets to signal something important. Well done if you got any or all of those. Next slide. So what I want you to do is during that scene, which is the climax, the main bit of action, I want you to make a list of adjectives and verbs to show the author's use of language. So how does he show that there is a lot happening here? The words, I'll give you a start. He's got gasped, retreated, hummed. What are those exciting words that he uses in those last pages that we have just read? I want you to make sure that you label them as verbs or adjectives in your book after you've written them down too. Try and get a list of about 10 different words, and I've got the first 3 here for you. Just see how many you can get. If you can't get to 10, that's fine. At least 5 or 6 though. Right, pause the video, have a go at that. And then when you're ready to move on, in 3, 2, 1, we have our final slide where we are going to continue our adventure, and I will leave it at that today. Obviously, we did this last time, putting the sequence of events into a storyboard. So we'll leave it with this one, talking about the language used during the climax of the story. That is our final task, okay? Just to have a look at this final page, we have looked at summarising, retrieving, exploring and defining in that slide there. But I'll leave it here. And well done today. We have one more lesson to go. How is this story going to end? How could you not join me tomorrow just to find out how the story ends? Well done, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow for the final episode of this book.